Good afternoon. How are you doing today? This is Jason Medlock. I'm your host of I'm Woke. Tonight we have our very special guest, Pastor Bridget Going. She's here for part two of a two-part series, and we are speaking on spiritual gifts. If you were with us last week, it was fabulous, and I just don't know what to say. When she spoke about the gift of knowledge, and she started on the gift of discernment, and a little something called love crept into our conversation. And we started to talk about how love and how light really controlled our entire lives. And before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my contributor, Tereska Harrison. Tereska, how are you today? Hey there, how's it going?
Hi, hi, how you doing? I'm good.
Good.
Everything's great.
Everything's great and everything's always good in the neighborhood. But I was speaking to the audience before you came on about Pastor Goings, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, I, I,
Awesome.
she talked about the gift of
Gift of
knowledge,
knowledge. Yep.
and could not get through it because she had so many wonderful things to that came to her heart, the gift of
Yes.
love, the love, and how we intertwine that in with how it is with light. And
Yeah.
I don't know. We spent time talking to
We
Pastor
did.
Goins afterwards, and
Could
it
have
was
gone. Could have
wow.
gone longer.
It was an hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah. It was like wow. Just on
Did you
that
have
topic
anything
alone.
that you really took? Did you take anything from it, or
I
what
mean,
was your
just
take?
the fact that the love is the center of it all, and
Uh-huh.
that it carries. We carry everything through that. Once we grab hold of that type of agape love, the God love that the Lord talks about. It once we grab hold of that, then everything else falls into place. Your
Right.
understanding, your knowledge, the gift of knowledge comes into play. All your understanding comes into play. Everything comes together.
And when you can get a really good understanding, and we don't want people to think that they have to be perfect, but when you start to get a really good understanding of the spiritual gifts you possess, then you're able to use them. You're able to use them to sort of
Yes,
move
absolutely,
yourself to different places in your life that you want to be.
absolutely.
And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's what it's all about. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
that is exactly why we're doing what we're doing.
It's to live a positive, abundant a life, a positively abundant, abundant life. It's more abundantly in this life, and that's the whole goal.
And some may say, "Well, I can do that just by praying and doing what I'm doing." You absolutely, absolutely, you can do that. But for those who would like to, incorporate different things in their routine, that's why we do the show. We bring people to you to talk about some of the ways that they've tapped into spirituality. We try to educate. We try our best to keep our conversations very, very simple and very, very kosher to anybody who wants to listen. But
Yeah,
trust, without further ado, I want to bring on Pastor Goings. This is going to be a treat, and
yeah.
I cannot wait. Pastor Goings, how you doing this evening?
I'm well. I'm well. Good
All right, all
evening.
right. You want to adjust your camera a little bit to the right, left? I don't know what. There you go.
There you
There
go.
you go.
There we go.
We were just gloating about your topic last week, and I've purposely got myself calm tonight because I am ready to receive the finishing touches on our second segment. And you promised
Yeah.
that you would come back, and here you are, and that just really speaks volumes to the type of person you are, and I thank you and I appreciate it.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for inviting me back, and so that we can do the second part of what we started last week in talking about spiritual gifts. And it's always a joy and pleasure for me to talk about the magnificent things that has been given to us by way of the Spirit of God, and to know that is given to us freely, and that we have a choice
Mm,
in all of this to say, okay, I welcome the gifts,
Yeah.
and I'm going to use the gifts. Or we could say, yeah, I got this gift, but I'm going to sit on this gift.
Yeah.
And there are consequences that we deal with when we don't use the gift, right?
Hmm.
Gifts, plural.
Yes.
And so I am of the mindset that everything we need has already been given to us.
Yeah.
And it is up to us to walk in it, to embrace it, to live it out. And Tereska, if I heard you correctly in the beginning of the show, you talked about abundance, right?
Yes.
And it is God, our creator's intent
Yeah.
that all of us experience abundance,
Yeah.
right? That we have more than enough, that we live in an overflow
Yes.
of access, of beauty, of joy, right? Of love, of healing, of all that is wonderful when we talk about abundance. And you know, I like to think that in terms of abundance, that means there should be nothing lacking, right? Nothing lacking. And so, because we are connected to the connector who is the creator, then therefore, as those who are connected to the connector and the creator, that we too have power. And right.
Yeah.
And as we are living in the power that is rightfully, divinely, supernaturally ours. So we take a part in how we administer it, how we experience it. So when we talk about discernment, right? I kind of introduced it just a little bit last week. Why were the gifts given? How to appropriate them? They weren't given just for the sake, oh, this is just something nice. No, it has a purpose. It has a purpose. And it behooves us to understand the purpose so that we can definitely experience it on a level that is intended for us to experience it. Let me just plain and simple. All right, let's get right down to the nitty gritty.
Get there.
All right. So the gift of discernment, I believe, is the catalyst that gives us spiritual insight. Is the catalyst that gives us insight into the realm of the spirit, because it talks about the discernment in terms of the gifts, discerning spirits, again, plural, right? And so discernment, it gives us a certain kind of freedom. There's freedom that comes with the ability to be able to see into another realm. And discernment opens up the gateway, opens up the doorway for us to have an understanding of things that are around us, things that are to be. It gives us the ability to distinguish that which is good, that which is evil, that which is light, that which is darkness, that which is harmful, that which is of good intentions and motivation. It helps us to distinguish between truth and falsehoods. That's the gift that we are given. We can master that thing, right? So with discernment, we can walk into a room and we can survey the spirits that are in the room, whether those spirits are good, if they have goodwill towards mankind when we walk into that room.
Yes.
That's the power of discernment. And then also discernment is there, I believe, as a protector. Discernment gives you protection. So that you are not caught off guard, and then you are engaging in either conversation, either a spirit to spirit combat interaction with that does not prosper you at the end of it. right? That just, it doesn't uplift you. It's not there to motivate you. It's not there to help assist you. It's not there to be a bridge for you to cross over, but it's there to block you, so you'll be able to discern.
Yes.
What is this really here? What am I working with? And then you can decide how to proceed.
Yeah.
That's the joy and the power of discernment, right? Some people call it the sixth sense.
You know, are we taught, and I mean we as a whole, not just, are we taught the different gifts, and do we take for granted the gifts? The gift of discernment, people just think it's natural. I mean, we do that anyway. Yeah, we do it, but it's a spiritual gift that has been given us by God. Do you run across this across the country? I know you speak at a lot of places. Do people really understand that these are gifts that we have?
I think that from my experience, right, people know of the gifts, but they don't know how the gifts impact their experiences, their lives, and other lives, right? Other people's lives. They know, okay, I've heard of the gift of discernment or intuition, insight, right? I heard of it. However, what does that really look like? What does that really feel like? How do I fully walk in that, live in that? How do I experience that? Right? And then you have some people who's afraid of it, because some people don't want to feel like they're going to be exposed. So they tend to shy away from certain gifts because they are intimidated by those gifts. So you asked the question, right? Are they, can you learn the gifts? I think you were asking, can you learn them? Are they taught? Right?
Yeah, I was saying basically they're not really taught, so we don't put as much value on some of the things that are actually spiritual gifts. We just kind of walk through life like, oh yeah, oh, that's not a good person. Well, how'd you know that? I felt it, but we don't even know. And my point was,
gotcha.
You've been all over the country speaking, and do you run across people who just don't realize what they have?
Right. They don't realize the full altitude of what it is that they possess.
Yes.
They really don't. Because I think, Jason, if they really did fully understand it, that they would definitely embrace it more and be able to identify where it comes from, and be able to pinpoint, right, the spirit that is operating through them.
Yes.
Who's given them that very gift.
And that's what, and let me just say this, Bridget, that's what people who are living by the Spirit should be intentional about the gifts, intentional about doing just what you said. Those are ways to intentionally be better in these things, and if we really are about the Spirit and about building our growing in the Spirit, then we will be intentional about these certain things, and especially these gifts that were freely given to us.
Yes.
That's going. I want to reset right quick. If you've just joined us, I am Jason Medlock. I'm your host. You're listening to I'm Woke. We have the beautiful Tereska Hairston, the contributor on the show. We have our guest, Pastor Bridget Goings, who is speaking about spiritual gifts in a 2-part series. We're on series part number 2. Pastor, we have a comment from a guest. Our grandmothers, mothers, and ancestors always told us that if you have that unction, that hunch, if that is a word, that is the Spirit. If you have that, that feeling, then that's the Spirit talking to you. And we're talking about discernment. So Tosca Medlock Lee had that comment for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe, I simply believe that because we are connected spiritually. I had this conversation with a good friend of mine the other day. We were talking about being spirit beings, right?
Right.
And when we die, the flesh, right, the shell that we're in goes back to the earth. but the spirit lives on forever and ever and ever. And so that spirit is familiar with the spirit realm, with the unveiling, the revelatory knowledge goes back to that, and being able to discern that spirit realm. And where others are coming from, even as people, and even you talk about traveling, right? Traveling spirits, you can understand, because you are a spirit being connected to the ultimate spirit. That God is a spirit,
yes,
right? God is a spirit, and we are connected to the originator. The master himself, God, who is spirit, and by way of his spirit, which we call the Holy Spirit, those of us who are Christians, we are able to understand. I believe you said there was a question, or I guess a comment about our grandparents, our mamas, our ancestors. They call it the unction. Right?
Yeah, that unction,
Right.
that hunch.
And right, the hunch, right. And knowing that the spirit was telling them, they was receiving it from the spirit, right? And they didn't identify it as the term we would call it discernment, but it's all the same.
It's right.
It's all the same because the outcome is the same.
Yeah.
And it's coming from the spirit of God that lives within us.
Yes.
That's the thing to understand. The spirit lives within us.
Yes.
So we got it. But we just need to, I think, in order to fully appreciate it, to its degree, taking it up another notch, so that when we take it to that other notch and we fully understand it, I think then we'll use it. We'll use it more. We really will use it more. I think, in some cases, the gift of discernment is underused. It really is. It's underused. And if we would use it more, it really will help us sharpen in the area of decision making.
Yes.
Even when we talk about our purpose in life, even when we talk about our destiny, even when we talk about where we're headed, where we're going.
Yes.
Right. We wouldn't have, I would call, get so off balance and have that, that equilibrium, off balance, and we're not walking in sync. Because we're not understanding what discernment is there for to help us make those decisions.
Let's imagine that our school systems were based on spirituality, and that in all our classes, we had our classes on the gift of discernment, and we had another class on the gift of knowledge. And let's just imagine if we're taught every spiritual, every religious tool from a academian standpoint, how would the world be?
It'd be a whole different world. Hope it much better.
And then we have people, we know that these are gifts because we have people who haven't tuned into their gift of discernment. And obviously that's why we have prisons. That's why we have mass murder. That's why we have people that are off track and out of tune with God and out of touch. So Pastor Goins,
out of tune. I like that, Jason.
Out of tune. So
but you know what? Let me just say,
like
Jason, to your question, if it was school, if it was in schools, just think about this. Everybody would be at a level where they have mastered a gift. And just like you would master any type of physical, gift or plan or whatever, when you practice, if like I said, if you're intentional about a thing and you practice at it and you study it and all the way through school, then you have in a mastery state. You have mastered something. And at that level, it is almost out of this world. So if you find somebody that's at that level, you would think they were weird for one thing and just out of this world. That's what you would think.
Yeah, you would think that. And, again, how much different would the world be when you have, schools, school districts that are based in spirituality? Now we learn, calculus, we learn geometry, you learn the numbers, the system to equate the universe, but the thrust of all the lessons and the information and knowledge would be based on spirituality. And you have, and if you looked at that and you said, how would the world look? That would be very interesting. That'd be a great paper to write, and maybe even a great book.
Yeah. And what comes to mind is discernment will help us to get back on track, right?
Yes.
When we're off track, when I talked about being off centered, and it's like it's a radar. It's like ding 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 ding, right? And it's like helping you to sense, okay, girl, okay, fella, let's get centered. Come back. You're going out too far. You're going too deep. You're going too deep, and you need to come back because you're lacking some things. And so it helps you to perceive character also. When you think about even in school, Jason, with our students, I think it will help even our students to be able to perceive character, right? And better understand what character to model as opposed to what character not to model, even in education. What the ability to judge accurately as well. That's what discernment does too. Help you to be able to judge, not be judgmental, but to judge, right? Where do I go from here? How do I rightly appropriate what I am learning in this environment, right? So discernment, it's like it detects even those hidden things. Even if it's being masked, even if it's being masked, but it helps to detect it, Again, that's, I said, it's a radar, like, ooh, that's something good behind that curtain. I know what's behind that curtain. That's good. Like the Wizard of Oz, the dude behind the curtain, right? Wait a minute, I know who's behind there.
Well, I want to say this, that discernment can also lead you to understand different gifts that you may have and you never knew.
True.
And I know my sister Tereska doesn't mind, but I always felt that she was empathic. But she's recently found out that, what, I am an empath, but her discernment level is off the charts. But when you're an empath, you feel,
yeah.
You feel at a level that other people just don't.
Yeah.
And you observe and things come to you. So if you're listening out there, you could have a level of feeling and you wonder, why do I always feel people's emotions? And that's a level of discernment too, Pastor. But also, there's another term for it as well. So you have to really, really be in tune with yourself to sort of understand if you are experiencing a different type of tool of spirituality.
And you know what? You have to be able to celebrate that gift that you have. I mean, really, really fully embrace it at its max. I'm serious. I was listening to something just recently, and they were talking about the gift of prophecy. And when you know that you have the gift of you're prophetic in your gifting in nature, spiritual nature, how you need to really embrace it and celebrate it and not shrink back from it. And as one who walks and operate in the gift of discernment of spirits and you talked about empath and being able to feel and being able to tap into that realm. It is not just for you, right? It's for you to be able to help change the world.
Yes.
Because that's what it's really all about, you being the world changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And an influencer.
And if another person asks me, man, you need to take this big time. What's big time? This is big time for us. We love coming up with topics that can help people reach a different part of themselves,
Right.
reach a different part
You might
of,
change one person at a time.
well,
Yes.
or be someone who can provide information for that a person can do it themselves. I mean, basically, you're in charge of your own destiny, of your own awakening.
Right.
And you can be guided a certain way, but no one can be a policeman for you. This is something
No.
that has to call you, and you have to be ready to answer the call.
Yes, and Jason, but also, then I want to move on to
Yes.
the gifts of
Healing. I
healing,
want to hear about
right?
healing.
Then we're going to talk about the gifts of healing. But I want to say this too. When you talk about you are the one that you have to say so,
Right.
because all the tools, everything that, and I started off by saying that. Remember, I said you have everything you could ever need.
Yeah.
It's already there. It's already in you. And you also have the mechanisms out here to help you even get through it, even if you get stuck, to help you increase it, to help you become more aware of it, right? To help you master it.
Yes.
And we talked about last week, we talked about a few things that help you get there. We talked about love.
Yeah.
Create more light and put it in right in the middle of your heart.
Right. Yeah. Right. 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 So, and I'm just going to say this, I'm going to sum it up. What it's all about is seeing beyond the naked eye.
Right.
Yes. Discernment.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good. That's good.
All right. Let's go. Let's go with it. We, you know what? We don't have a clock on you. We're just listening.
I know. And look, I'm looking down like, oh, okay, I see what time it is. But nonetheless, the gifts of healing. It didn't say the gift of healing. The gifts. Oral.
Okay.
Right? So when we talk about healing, and of course, Jason, you know about the different modalities of healing, energy healing, etc. All the different types of healing, right?
Just a disclaimer. About a month ago, I was certified as a galactic energy healer. So I'm very, very at a place where power is, among us. Power is among me. I mean, we can use all of these different healing energies and healing gifts if we only would practice it, if we only would believe in it, and if we only would understand that these gifts were given to us by God. And gifts of healing. It's absolutely right. Reiki, galactic, you name it. It's out there and people are using it and it works.
Yeah. So when we talk about gifts of healing, right? We're talking about, okay, the various aspects of healing. Healing of mind.
Yes.
Healing of the soul. Healings of the body. Healings of the emotions, right? Healings of the heart, right? It all boils down to the supernatural ability to be able to soothe those parts that have been injured.
Yes.
That's experiencing what we call infirmities. And so we have the ability through the gifts of healing and some of that, even in, those who operate in certain aspects of the gifts, herbalists, you see, they can help that healing, taking it, giving you an alternative experience.
Yes. I have a good friend who's an herbalist, and it's funny because she's an herbalist, and she's studying to be an herbalist, but spirituality has crept into every part of her life. And when you start to dabble in natural things like herbs and natural energy healing, I mean, it creates another avenue for God to really, really intervene in your life. But those are closely connected. And one more thing, Pastor, even a crystal shop owner, most of the people who own crystal shops, they have a deep connection with spirituality as well. So when you said herbalist, being connected that way, that's often true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And signs that you have the gift of healing, I would say one would be a strong desire to see people healed.
Yes.
It's one of the signs. You have a strong urge, a strong pulling. Something in you doesn't rest until you can see people healed, that you can point them towards the way of healing. You're a healer. You're a healer. The other one is, another sign is that you are an encourager of healing. Right? You see things, you're like, okay, I learned something today. I learned that this can help you or that can help you, right? You're a messenger. You are a healer, right? The other one is that you gravitate to all things healing, right? It just comes to you. It's like second nature. It's like a pulling. You can't resist it. Is so strong in you. Those are signs that you have the gift of healing.
Wow.
You dream it, you eat it, you sleep with it. It's all things healing. That says to you, you are a healer. And remember, there are different ways in which we heal. And we're not just talking about a traditional way of healing, but you can heal by way of touch.
Yes.
You see, just putting your hand, you can put your hand on somebody's shoulder. You don't know, that can be healing for somebody. You're transmitting healing even through the way you smile. You can have such an awesome and it's magnetic. It's like fire.
Yeah.
A person see you smile, you can walk into their space and you smile and you can change their whole outcome. And they feel healed. When I'm talking about the way healing is transmitted, different ways it's transmitted. It's transmitted even through the arts. I'm talking about the gifts of healing.
Yes.
You can see a person paint something. You can see a painting and you can be healed through that painting. You can be healed even through comedy. Right? Yeah. Comedy. Yes. You can be healed that way. You can be healed through storytelling, which I love. I can, that's my thing with her story. Healing is transmitted through different
songs.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, big time. Singing, ministering in song. Release. All of this is release and healing.
Yes.
People are being healed. The gifts of healing are in operation.
Yes.
And that's when you understand that healing is not one-dimensional, but it's multi-dimensional.
Yes.
It's on all kinds of levels.
It is.
Because at the end of it all, somebody is feeling renewed.
Yeah.
Rejuvenated. In mind, soul, in body, emotions, heart, spirit, whatever, they are being healed because the person who is given the gifts of healing is fully in operation and fulfilling that gift so that they can bring about healing in a person's life. And also you can be healed by a person's presence. You understand that? The person don't have to do anything. It's simply their presence.
Yes.
That's powerful. That you don't even have to lay hands on them. Just your presence, your spirit can bring healing to a person.
And you know what? You're right, Pastor Goins. So when that happens, or what type of, I guess I want to ask for the audience, what type of feeling is that when, let's just say, your favorite uncle comes into the room, and whenever he comes around, I don't care if your mom made you mad or someone is just on your nerves, when he comes around, your favorite uncle, the just him being around makes you just feel so special, like you're healed. Yes. What is that? I mean,
yes.
what's that whole thing look like? Obviously, sort of like black matter in space. We can't see it, but they say it's there. Like what is this feeling of healing that we get when people are around us? It's so simple, but it's actually a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you just described what it's like when the uncle walks into the room,
Mhm.
but it's like you can't tangibly see it, but it took place because of the results.
Yes.
The outcome let you know that healing took place by that uncle's presence. Walking into that room, it was something about that uncle, something he carried in his spirit, in all of his body language. He brought it in there and he transmitted on to you because he has that gift of presence of healing.
Oh, are we saying that energy can be transferred? Feelings of other people can be transferred?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
There we go.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The power.
Absolutely
It's the power.
So. Yes, indeed. Absolutely so. We have the power to walk into a room and create the atmosphere for the room. Spirit knows spirit. You got it. Absolutely so.
Spirit knows spirit. That's
Yes.
a niece, Dr. Niece Maston.
Yes.
Dr. Niece will be on in a few weeks, and she's a big fan of yours. Maybe she'll call in and join us in a little bit. And,
yes, spirit knows spirit, being able to connect. That's why you say like-mindedness.
Yes.
We connect.
Yes.
You see? So we know each other.
All right, absolutely.
That's what it is. And so healing brings balance. It brings balance. The gifts of healing. That's at the end of the day. We want to make sure that we have balance and that we're walking in balance.
Yeah.
Right. And so for those of us who operate in the gifts of the Spirit, just like I said, when we operating in the gifts of this, in the gift of discernment, let us be fully awoke.
Yes.
Let us be fully awoke because, beloved, there are so many who are in need, especially in this dispensation and where we are right now in the earth.
Yes.
Of healing.
Yes.
Right. And we talk that love thing is connected with healing.
Yes.
Because love brings about healing as well.
Yes.
It really does.
Yes, it does.
So
it's funny that I thought about a big hug, like a big hug.
Yes.
I mean, just because hugging, it's not just touching, but hugging is healing in itself.
Yes.
There's so many people when we came out of the pandemic that we talked, who just needed a hug, like who couldn't touch anybody, you couldn't touch people, but just actually need that touch. And I believe that we are creatures that need to be touched.
You took the words out. Well, that's where I was going to go. Oh. we are created in that we are relational people.
Yes.
We are communal people.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's not about it's not about the man on the island by him or herself. No. Mm-hmm. No man is an island, right? That's what we're talking, and that is very true.
Exactly.
You see, the scripture tells us from a Christian perspective, the hand can't say to the feet, we don't need you. No, we need all parts.
Yes.
Working together to bring about harmony, to bring about healing, right? Yes. To bring about what we need as we're on our journey so that we can float, right? We can soar and we can live out our true purpose in the earth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, what this does, it brings glory to God. It does. It brings glory to God, and it brings us closer to God.
I wanted to add an example about laughter. You said comedy bring about healing. There was this woman who she had cancer, and one of the things she would do was she and her husband would watch. They would watch comedy every night. she would just laugh, 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 laugh. And all the other things she did with herbs and that laughter cured her from her cancer.
Tereska, the scripture reminds us too, laughter is medicine.
Yes.
It's medicine. So I'm like, get your daily dose of medicine. Get your laugh on, right?
My God.
Absolutely so.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you hear the word and you hear all these things over and over and over, and yet we don't do them. Like Paul said, we don't do those things. We tend to not, we just turn against them sometimes and not really activate them like we should. Because we would be so much higher beings and so much better beings on this earth if we did.
Absolutely so. And so, and the other thing, we have to take the limits off of ourselves and stop being afraid of what we have. Let fear go. Because fear is a big hindrance and a stopper from us really walking in those gifts.
Yes, it is.
And living them out.
That's absolutely true.
Oh, it's so real. It's so real. And just live out loud with it.
I want to make sure you guys hear me.
Yes.
Keep going.
Oh, I thought you was going to say something, Jason. Yeah, live out loud with it. And walk in it with boldness. Yes. Hello. Be bold. Be courageous. Walk in it with a fierceness.
Yes.
And let me say this. Look for opportunities.
Wow. Look for them.
Look for them.
Good. That's good.
Stop running from them. Look for them.
My God.
And open yourself up.
My God. That's good.
Okay, we have another one. Yvonne, I think a person's connection with God and their faith brings the positive energy of our Lord through us in order to give others peace and hope.
Hello. You are the vessel. You are the vessel that God has chosen to use for it to come through, to bring the peace bearer, the peace carrier, the hope carrier. You bring it. You got the torch.
Yeah,
Yvonne, we got it. We all have it.
Yeah.
We all have it.
But everybody don't choose to use it.
Right. And again, that's because of fear.
Because of fear.
Get rid of the fear.
Fear is
We are limitless. Listen, we are limitless. I'm serious. We are.
Right.
But we got to fully embrace our God selves.
Well, because of life, and one of the things there has been breakdown through life. Some people, through experiences and through negative issues going on through life can put you in a place of negativity, or put you in a place of depression, or put you in a place where you need to be delivered, and so therefore requiring that type of healing. That's why the body is needed, because people that can recognize that are those that can save you or help you through that whole process.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, people are very, very, revved up by your words, Pastor Goin. Yvonne came back and said, amen. I feel that. I stand strong in God. No fear.
No fear. No. And I can say that, Yvonne, because I've been on that street. Let me tell you, I've been on that street, and I have made a decision in my life. As I have gotten older, I have become more fierce.
Yes.
I have become more intentional.
Yes.
And I have decided, you know what? I possess the power to heal myself. There's a scripture that says, physician, heal yourself, to heal myself. Because I got the keys.
Yes. Come on now.
I got the keys.
Yes.
God gave them to me.
Come on now.
God gave them to me.
Yes, he did.
Absolutely. Now I just got to use them.
That's it.
Because listen to this. What good is it to have the keys to get in the house and not use them?
Exactly.
And you standing outside saying, I need to get in my house, but you got the key to get in there.
Wow. That's absolutely.
You'll never get in there if you don't use the keys.
You got to use the gifts. You
Stop climbing through the windows when you have
use
the keys.
Gifts.
Stop climbing through the windows when you have your
keys. You're a thief and a robber. No,
you know what, Pastor Goin, that's easy for you. I mean, you're a pastor and you work your butt off to build your relationship with God. I worked my butt off to build my relationship with God. I had to do the work first. I had to make sure that he knew that I wanted the relationship. So I prayed. So I thought nothing but love. So I thought nothing but light. So I had great discernment. I started to listen to my emotions. Yes, absolutely. That is what Pastor Goins is trying to say. You have to work at it. Get to work
Listen,
at it.
Jason, I heard a word from TD Jakes a couple of weeks ago. He
Uh-huh.
said it'll work if you work it. Okay.
Yes, yes.
It'll work if you work it.
Bridget,
Come on, man.
Pastor Bridget Goins, Tosca has asked the question. Bridget, can you talk about her story and how the ministry is used for spiritual healing and how ordinary people break through their fear?
Good question.
Oh, awesome. Her story is a venue that allows women, right, from all, I told you, from all walks of life, right, from all kinds of backgrounds in terms of stories. And some of those stories have been locked in them because of fear. She talked about, breaking through their ordinary people breaking through their fear, right? And how that spiritual healing takes place. It is through the ability of being free enough, courageous enough to tell the story. It is in the telling of the story that things are being unraveled spiritually. And
that is so awesome.
Listen, it is. And you can see it. There are moments, those of us who've been there, it's like you can see it. You can, I mean, visually see it. Yeah. It's like you can see the unraveling of the things that have held them back.
Yes.
That impede their growth.
Yes.
That when they were stuck in pain, the hurt, you can see it as they're telling their story, that shackles are like falling off of them. It's like, bandages are being released in them telling their stories. And you can feel the atmosphere, the room is filled with healing. Yes. It's like, oh my gosh, it's such a powerful experience. You're talking about spirit knowing spirit. It's like the spirit of healing comes in that environment and just takes us to a higher dimension.
Yes.
Where we are in the presence of the beauty of all things healing, and miracles are taking place and people's lives are shifting. Right? Transformation is taking place because in the midst of them telling their stories, they're helping other people. It's like you're grabbing other people, almost like Harriet Tubman, so to speak. Come on, get out of here. We're going to take you, through here. We're going to, we're here to help you, to rescue you, to take you through the underground railroad. We are here. And so it's like through those stories.
Yeah,
you're feeling it. You're feeling it, and they're bringing you along their journey.
Yeah,
and like there's no fear in the room. Like you're like, wow. There's a place, because we know where there is where the spirit of liberty is there, right? There's freedom.
Yes.
There's freedom.
Yeah, that's the key.
Where the spirit is.
Right, where the spirit is. Absolutely.
Don't make me start singing my favorite song.
I'm telling you.
Where the spirit is.
There's freedom there because, mainly is because that you're not the only one going through certain things.
Yeah.
And when someone gives their testimony, like the Bible tells, we're overcome, they're overcoming. Say people are freed and delivered by your testimony, because they can know that you've been set free, then I can be free too.
Well, Yvonne says the same thing. She writes as a response to no fear, it was a struggle that has taken me in this path, in the darkness, like a seed. God pulled me through and transitioned me into a bigger and more beautiful person than before.
Awesome.
And it is awesome.
Beautiful.
And it sounds like a testimony, because it is a testimony. And people want to, I guess people say, well, how can I do it? But people are telling you how to do it. And you get people give beautiful testimonies like this. It's because they had to take the time to slow down, Bridget, and just feel and just listen. Those are very, very critical when you're trying to take that next step with with
Yes.
your, with your God.
But I got to tell you, with her story, there have been some hard stories. There have been some terrible things that have happened to women, and how they overcame these issues and the problems of the situation that they got into. It's just mind-boggling how the Lord brought them out and how they have evolved from that. To do all kind of things, and it's
And the lovely thing about that is this, because we're talking about healing, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting there, you're listening.
Yeah.
And what that does is it opens up a pathway.
Yes, it does.
It opens up a doorway for you who's sitting there, who's saying oh my God, I'm in such a dark place. I'm like, am I going to get out of this place? And you're listening to this person who's been to hell, who's been in that dark tunnel. And they're like, I came out of this. And you're grabbing hold of everything that they're saying, right?
Yes.
It's oh, that's how you did it.
Yeah.
And they're releasing in the atmosphere, right, for you, such an amazing opportunity for you to walk in it. It's come on. It's the gateway has been opened.
Yes.
Step into your healing. Absolutely so. You're man, this thing is so explosive. It's so explosive.
Very impactful.
Oh, absolutely so. And that's why we know that when you bring in a certain spirit and you release it, it's going to affect the atmosphere that you're in.
Yeah.
It's going to affect the atmosphere that you're in. And when those women are telling their stories of victory and healing, it impacts the atmosphere and it releases healing. It's charging the atmosphere with healing. It really is.
And what I was going to say is, the little things you say, it would go by me. Things like that or words like that would go by me in my younger years when you say release into the atmosphere. Now that I'm woke, when you release into the atmosphere, you can download that energy. You can download that knowledge of discernment, that knowledge of understanding, that knowledge of, the discernment and understanding and the knowledge of love, and anything that you want is in the atmosphere. You just know how the right frequency. You have to know how to tap in. And when these young women release this, this energy, this feeling of, of love. And when you ask yourself, what do they get back? They get back threefold. They get back everything that they want because they've raised their vibration and they've gotten to a frequency where they can access information, or anybody can access information at will.
Awesome.
This is great. I don't want to go too far off the tangent. And
I know.
Tasha's step into your healing.
Yes.
Do that.
Yes.
And Yvonne has said it is, look for the blessing and not to be critical and judged. Listen and not judge. Listen and not judge. Sometimes I have a problem with that. And the first step into with trying to provide information or helping others is understand that, say that you've done the same thing, because we all have.
Yeah, and see, this is one thing we put out front, right? We put this out front before we even start with her story. We dispense, listen, because we create the atmosphere. We are creators of the atmosphere. We create the atmosphere to dispense judgment. We tell this is a no judgment zone.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. This is a no judgment zone. This is a safe zone.
Right.
Understand that again, because as healers, we are walking in the authority of healing.
Yes.
And we take by force in that room everything that would try to interfere with healing. Yes. Everything that would try to hinder and stop the healing, we take it by force and we dismiss it and cancel it out.
Yes.
Bridget,
force.
just the way you frame that, we take counsel out. It's almost as if you're saying, I command it. Because
That's
we're
right.
spirits.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you're asking or when you're praying to God, you cannot pray in a weak manner. Beg,
Timid.
oh Lord, please help me, God. Oh God. No, you command it
Yes.
because it's your
We have
divine
that
right.
authority. We have that authority to
We
do.
got
Have
the
the
authority. We come in authority and
Yes.
power.
And
Absolutely. And
Authority and power.
will we decree and declare
That's right.
things?
That's right.
well,
Okay.
one thing,
We
Bridget,
dismantle that.
Pastor Goins, Yvonne said something that it's worth you commenting on. Darkness is so easy and comes quickly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Before you know it, depression has set in. It's like,
Yes,
why
absolutely.
am I crying every day?
Yep. Yep.
Come on.
What can we
Yep.
do about that?
Yep. Yep. Remind yourself. Listen to me. I know I can say this, and Tereska, you can go ahead. But
Mhm.
remind yourself, for me, of who you are. In that moment, yes, we all can get a little down. We all have our little moments. Yeah, we do. Life can be hard. Let's be honest about that. Real talk. It
Real
can be
hard.
hard. It can be challenging. It can be challenging. My
Knock
God,
you
yes.
down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But understand that you possess the power, and you are a warrior, and that you are an overcomer. Wait a minute. I'll be like, I put myself in. I think of myself in a boxing ring. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me get my shoulders together. Wait a minute, hold up here. This don't feel right. Wait a minute. This don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
This garment I'm wearing right now of sadness or depression, this doesn't really fit me. Wait a minute, hold up. Let me change my clothes. Wait a minute.
Listen.
I'm in this ring. Wait a minute. I gotta knock this right on out.
Yeah. Let me just say that you have to have that fight. I mean,
Yes.
because I've been there, I've been where the darkness is, it can come down and it can really bring you down physically when you really don't have that hope. But you got to have that fight, because you got to know, like you said, you got to know that you have the authority and that know who has you. And all you have to do is have you. All you have to do is say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm getting up. I'm gonna box. I'm gonna declare a thing. I'm gonna affirm a thing, and then I'm gonna move forward and do the next thing. I'm gonna sit in prayer with God and let Him feed me. I'm gonna meditate and allow my spirit to heal. We're gonna do all those things to get out of that space. What we cannot do is succumb to the darkness, because we're light. Like you said, it's uncomfortable for light to succumb to darkness. It can't happen.
It can't happen. There's no way it can happen. There's no way that we let it happen. And in everything that's been said tonight, I want to add one thing with Pastor Goins and what she's talked about is intention. Each one of these spiritual gifts are driven by your intention. Mm-hmm. You have to have intentions on when you're receiving knowledge, you're speaking knowledge. It's your intent to speak and to receive knowledge. It's your intent to have good discernment and want to discern between good, bad, right, wrong. Mm-hmm. It's your intent to want to heal or want to be healed. When you take the time to go back and you just kind of break down what Pastor Goins is talking about, it is so beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful concept. It's beautiful abstracts of what she's saying, and you can get there. If whoever this message comes across to, you can get there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I concur. You can get there.
Absolutely. Well, Pastor Goins, I mean, we're going to give you the last word, and then Tereska and I'll kind of wrap it up and have a conversation about you while we have you backstage. But, is there anything you want to leave our audience with? I mean, they were very, very active tonight.
I just want to say, be free, be liberated, be healed, and celebrate all that's you and all that has been given to you, and live it out to your fullest I mean, your fullest potential and walk in your highest being. And that is your God self.
Yes.
That is your God self.
Oh, that's it, girl.
Ooh.
That's
All right. We are grateful to
And
have
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Tereska.
But before we and you may not be ready for this, but is there any kind of information or any kind of update on the programs that you're putting together, and just anything that you got going on? You're always welcome to come back on the show to keep people informed. We know that you do wonderful work with women, with girls, and you speak prophetically across the country. So you always have a home here on I'm Woke, and I'm so excited that you'll be joining us not only as a guest, but sometimes you'll come on as a contributor, and I'm sure this audience would love you.
Well, awesome. Well, we do have. I met today with the planning meeting, so we got some things coming down the pipe in 2022.
Okay.
So we're heading to Dallas.
Yeah.
All right.
In March.
We're
heading there in March.
Awesome.
So yeah, we'll keep you guys informed. Like I said, you can check us out on Facebook. We have Her Story Women's Symposium on Facebook and on IG at Her Story WS. You can find us on IG.
All right. Awesome. Pastor Bridget Goins, thank you so much. And we want you to hang out in the back. Tereska, again, you brought Pastor on the show. You were instrumental in putting this whole thing together. I need for you to kind of wrap it up a little bit and sum this whole thing up for the audience.
He's powerful. My whole thing is pretty much what you said and she said together. There's so many more spiritual gifts that we all have, and that God has freely given us. And it's mainly about your intentions on what it is that you know, and you really know what they are. But you really got to, and when we say have your intentions, that means to pay attention to cultivate those gifts. You know those things that happen to you and those things that you experience on a day-to-day basis. So I would behoove you to the audience to really do a little soul searching in that meditation. And again, we're going to go back to meditation and prayer about those gifts and really be intentional about learning about them, and then start exercising them, and so that you can master them eventually and be, like she said, be your highest God self.
Yeah. And I'd like to leave the audience with, you hang on there, Tereska, but I like to leave the audience with just something simple, and increase your ability to love, and that alone will raise your vibration. We take small things like that for granted. When you're trying to get into your prayer moment, when you're trying to get into your special place, infuse light and infuse love mentally. I'm not telling you to go grab it off of a bookshelf or anything like that, but move it into your heart on a mental, on a spiritual level, and try to work on some of these gifts. Try to say, I want to improve my gift of discernment. I want to improve my gift of healing. I want to improve my gift of knowledge. But when you actually say that in your prayer, mentally move more light into your body, see your entire body filled with light, then see your entire body filled with love. Then pray about these gifts, pray about different things you want to happen into your life. It makes your vessel that much more clear. But you've been listening to I'm Woke. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and we just had a fantastic guest, the wonderful Pastor Bridget Goins. Good night to you guys, and we hope to see you next week. We'll have a special guest, and I'll put that out there sometime here pretty soon. But again, good night. Thank you very much, and we hope that you enjoyed being with us tonight. Thank you.